All right, we're back with the Canada Throws podcast, season 2, episode 10. It's been a few weeks since we've been on the air, but unfortunately, real life got in the way. I had to work late a few days. Both mine and Rammer's jobs pick up a bit in the spring and the summer, so it's not the lazy days of winter again. So we're back after a few weeks. There's been, quite a few has gone on since we're last on here, Rammer.
Yeah, we had some big tournaments out east. Got another one coming up here this weekend out in Quebec. So yeah, there's been a lot of big tournaments, a lot of high quality games being played over the last little bit of time here.
Yeah, so we started off. We had a bit of a preview show last episode for the Newfoundland Provincials, and that pretty much went how we thought it would. Andrew and Matt, two Canadian pros, they finished first in open doubles. Val and Amanda actually had the queen seat, got double dipped, but those look like to be some good games. With Andrew's regular partner Derek away at work, Matt stepped in there and they took it down.
Yeah, two guys that have been, I think, on the rise a little bit here lately, especially Matt, playing out in St. John's there. So good on them, on the boys there for coming back and getting the double dip.
Yeah, no, Matt certainly is on the rise. He's had an incredible start to the pro season. He's sitting top 6 or top 7. The full standings came out there today, actually on the ACL main page, which is kind of fun. But he's been having a great season, especially for a rookie year.
Yeah, and he was one of the last guys to get in, right? I think St.
Right.
John's was kind of like the last spot to run their qualifiers. So Matt got in there at the end there with Brian, right?
Yeah,
Brian Conway. Yeah, they won the qualifiers to get in. So good on Matt for keeping rolling here and getting those good results.
Yeah. No surprise in open singles either. Dion Kuza, leader of the Point May Mafia, took it down. He had to double dip Val as well. He had an early loss against Val. She sent him to the loser bracket, but he came back up and he was lights out in both those final games. And I see that happen to Dion a lot. He'll lose a game early in the bracket and then just dial right in.
Yeah, I think that one's hard. Not just for Val, it would be hard for anyone to beat Dion twice. So, not really surprised to see Dion come all the way around and end up getting the win on that. But good on Val for knocking him down there and making a good run for herself too. So,
yeah, she had an incredible weekend.
Yeah.
And she remains high up in the open standings. Definitely has had a good season. Locally in Newfoundland, I'm sure. We looking at the pro standings there, and she's pretty far back. Has struggled maybe a little bit nationally, but hopefully she can use some of that power in a month and a half when we head to St. John's, and because she's played 3 events now. So in case anyone's wondering how the pro standings work, 4 opens, top 3 count. So if she has a good one here, she can drop one of the worst performances. So they'll definitely propel her up the standings.
Yeah, she could get a point upgrade in both singles and in doubles still, with having attended all the events, and now she gets to play the last one at home in St. John's.
Yeah, and she's obviously been playing good there. The Remax Center was home to the Provincials, I believe. So back on that turf, maybe she'll have some similar results. I know she's had some good results there in the past for sure. Amanda as well. The first year in Newfoundland, Amanda won women's singles, took that down. So I think we can expect big things out of the Newfie ladies when we get on their home turf.
Yeah, you get a little home field advantage cooking there, and it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out for some of the players out there in St. John's.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to it. We got the flights booked. The whole family's going. Alicia's interested in whale watching and getting screeched in.
Oh, okay.
Those are 1 and 2 on her list, and I don't think there's anything else on her list. She's going to come hang out a little bit Friday. so she can get screeched in.
Nice.
She said she might play the swap. We'll see if I can talk her into it. She might as well play the swap.
Yeah, if you're already there, why not?
Yeah, and we'll see. But so moving on from Newfoundland, the following weekend, ACL Quebec had their second provincial event of the year. So the ACL Canada or the ACL Quebec Provincials. And it was a bit of a lower turnout. I think they had about 40 doubles teams there. You know, some great players were there. Will was there, and Champagne, and Jocelyn. The mule and the gorilla both stayed in Saguenay. I guess I was talking to Carl, and his home club was actually running a tournament that same weekend, and he didn't even play that. He had to go snowboarding with the kids, so rough life.
Okay, tough one.
Yeah,
Tough one.
Yeah. So they had the same thing, the rounders, and they split into 3 groups there, and Jocelyn and Eric Lemaire, which Eric Lemaire, we've seen him at a few ACL events, and they took down the doubles, and Will T2 took down singles. No surprise there. I mean, he's leading the way on the ACL Pro standings. He is absolute juggernaut of a cornhole player.
Yeah, T2's definitely been, he's been hitting podiums for a long time at a lot of big events. So no surprise there. Jocelyn's a good player too.
Oh yeah, he is.
He gets a little streaky sometimes, and I think that's why he catches some people. But I mean, he's been a good player too. So I played a doubles event with him one time with Jocelyn, so it was fun. He's fun to play with, but not really surprised to see some wins out of the guys there in that event. Yeah, hopefully we can keep growing that game, and we can get some more numbers out there for those guys for those big conference events, provincial events.
Yeah, and I think that's a good segue into our next thing, right? Is that the ACL is fairly new in Quebec, and Quebec has a very well established provincial league and tournament system. Now a lot of these players play in both of them.
Yep.
And and obviously more don't, because we got the ACQ provincials coming up next weekend, April 26th, 27th. And it is the largest doubles event in Canadian history. Overall entries, it would still be behind Niagara Falls. We had a few more events, so there's a few more players. But they got 231 doubles teams, 266 in singles. They're going to have a top 100 blind draw. They have juniors and women's event, 16 and 26 respectively in those events. Those numbers were as of yesterday. And I honestly can't say enough good things about the ACQ and the ACQ leadership. Those guys know what they have, and they do it really well. They run that thing domestically in Quebec. All the leagues that are on board, are doing a heck of a job. All of the ACL Canada pros all play in different ACQ leagues. We have a very good, the ACL's got a good relationship with those guys. So it's, I love seeing giant events like this.
Yeah, it's good. I think there's always something to learn from big events like that. So having someone that organization running in Quebec, and there's always something to learn from them. Obviously, they're doing plenty of things right to have those numbers.
Yeah.
So it's good on them. I'm sure, like most things, it took a lot of hard work and time to build it up, but their player counts are really showing that they have something strong there, something strong running there.
Yeah, and we've talked about their regional events before, and we're looking at events that have 140 teams, 140 in singles, pretty big events. These guys definitely get behind their homegrown tournament series. And I think it's important to recognize, the fantastic work that they're doing out there. They have, 2,500 players playing just in their province. They've definitely done a good job with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I think that just comes back to hard work and growing the game and doing things right. Hopefully that's something that we can see out of the ACL product out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Just continue to grow. And again, it just takes time. It's relatively new there still. Like we really just touched in there last year. Really, I think that's kind of when we start getting ACL going there in Quebec. So, I mean, it's basically a 1-year-old program. So it'll take a little bit of time to get it going there. But the ACQ guys are, obviously doing great work for Quebec there.
I remember the first year I saw the ACQ would have been, the first year I saw it would have been 2023. And I just really remember the prizes for first place was something like $6,000 or something, for a doubles team. And I know that Matt went down there the first year to vend, and it was just wild. He had a bunch of ACL boards, and he said they were just like flying off the shelves. He couldn't keep them down.
I remember seeing some live feeds from that, actually.
I think it was in like it was in a conference room or something.
Yeah, it looked like a big hotel conference room. Yeah, I remember.
With like pattern carpet, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought Connor might go because Connor, I mean, if there's anyone, Connor, Paul, Steve, and Lynn, obviously those four are probably the four from Ontario that we know that have traveled the most to play ACQ events. And I remember wondering if Connor was going to go to that, but I'm not sure if they thought that that was the year that they were, how many years was Connor a pro for? 2? Yes. That was the first year he was a pro. He wasn't sure if he'd be allowed to go with his pro contract. But I mean, I remember it being huge. And I mean, that was a few years ago. And I mean, I obviously didn't even know a single player from Quebec back then. I think I've got at least a half decent idea now. But back then, I mean, really the first Quebecois player that I saw play was Carl when he drove 10 hours to try out for Team Canada.
Yeah, he was the first one to come down for an event like that. So yeah,
I
guess that'd be my first one too, Carl. So
yeah, they definitely they're definitely doing a fantastic job. I spent probably an hour on the phone with Vincent Trudel, who he's the league owner of that of the Quebec City League. So he's the one that's running the provincial event this season. And just talking cornhole in Quebec and about the growth of this event and the size of it. And they're going to have 60 courts. All that registration is done through Google Sheets and then put into Scoreholio. So I mean that's a heck of a lot of work in its own, plus having all that equipment out there for this one event. Obviously we have boatloads of boards and stuff too with the ACL. I mean the ACL owns that stuff and it travels around. But we get to use it, 5 times a year. It makes a bit of a difference. But all the local leagues, they bring in, they have similar boards and they bring in their equipment so that it's pretty similar stuff, and they all kind of share it to make this thing happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's, some people might not realize how much work it takes to run a big event like that. It's not only 60 boards, but it's 60 tablets. It's charging 60 tablets at night. It's having backup tablets and figuring out the internet. And there's so many things that go on with a large scale event like that. So again, yeah, it's just great work by those guys being able to put on something like that, running 60 boards. That would be more than we've ever seen at an Ontario Open or an event in Canada through, one of the big ACL Opens or anything like that. So good on those guys, because it's definitely a lot of work to accomplish and get something like that done.
Oh yeah, no, I have a ton of respect for him, and like you said, nothing of that size we have seen as far as boards and teams go. Over the course of a 3-day weekend 2 years ago in Niagara, I think we had about 1,100 different entries into events. But to have one event that doubles event being that size, incredible, and congratulations to them. Hats off.
Yeah, again, just pull off an event like that's not easy. And just having that kind of talent or player pool to pull in that many teams too and get them all in one spot on one weekend. It's a lot of work, and it just proves that they're doing really good things there to continue to draw numbers like that.
Yeah, you know what I find pretty cool? Say 2 years ago, we would have had, or even say, let's go back 3 years. We'll go back to the fall of 2022. The spring of 2022. Say that was the year of the first Niagara Falls. Yeah. So we would have had maybe, I don't know, 4 big events nationwide that year. Right? That was the year CCL was in Laval.
Maybe, yeah.
Or the year they were in Saskatchewan.
I think
the year they were in Saskatchewan. Yeah. Yeah, Laval maybe. Or 2022 was Saskatchewan. 2023 was Laval. So, they did a couple big events there too. The 22 and 23. ACL had that open in Niagara Falls. And then we had that Provincials that year in Stroud. And that was a big event.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the boost into the big events, right? So now we're seeing 20, 25 events that have, 100 teams. Like this season, we probably have 20, 25 events that will have, say 80 plus teams, maybe even 30 events. Every regional in Quebec, plus their provincials, they're looking at least 10 events. Just the ACQ that's going to have 100 plus singles. Our big events have had, 100 plus, 150 plus the singles. And we still have a few left. The days of having 1 or 2 big events is long gone. So that tells me that this thing is still growing, and we're still full steam ahead. Maybe some of the numbers aren't where we might think that they should be sometimes when we're looking at it from the outside. But then you got to think back to that. We have 25 events this big now. Before we used to have a handful or less. The players are coming.
Yeah, and some of it is structurally too. Like I would say, use as Ontario as an example, I think that the numbers were down from what we thought at a provincial because structurally you only now need 1 to go towards your points instead of 2.
Yeah.
So I think that some people would have looked at, the areas that those tournaments are being run, picked 1 and go. They might not have went to 2, whereas previously we would have had 2 or 3. But yeah, like you said, like the events are growing, like the opens are good. The provincial events seem to be strong. Still growing and still getting to new spots. I feel like every time we come on here, we're talking about, there's a new director in Manitoba. There's a new director in BC. There's a new director.
Yeah, 100%.
So clearly that's showing that everything's still really growing. Yeah, I just think I don't know if it's necessarily growing at the same pace as it maybe once was, but I believe it's still growing. And I think that we're not even close to that, that plateau of people. I think, honestly, too, I think at some point we might have seen some people kind of that were playing kind of have cycled out, but then we've had more people come back in too, right? So you're going to get that with any sport, but
any sport. I
think that there's still definitely we're moving in the growth direction. We're going up instead of going flat or going down. So it's still good.
I think we're still moving at that same rate. There's way more directors than there used to be. So there's way more regionals. There's way more everything, right? Way more league nights.
I would think that our league counts would be higher.
Yeah.
Like across the country. I don't know what those numbers are, but I would imagine that the league numbers of players are up.
They are up. So I do know what those numbers are. I ran those numbers maybe a month ago. It was before March. It was before any regional in March. So maybe the end of February. and our local numbers were way up. Our regional numbers were slightly down heading into March. Then we had a giant regional March, and honestly, April has started off the same way. Big regionals already. So I think, which is something we haven't seen in years past. It was almost like guys decided to start the season a little bit late. That, before everyone was just chomping at the bit to get going October 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some folks took the first couple months off and are hitting some regionals now, or they don't care that they already have 6 and just want to keep playing tournaments because they're fun. I mean, that's what I'm hoping it is.
Yeah, I think it's probably all of the above.
Yeah.
I think it's more, what players are looking for. I think, it could be some players aren't chasing that top 64 tournament, and we don't have the top 100. They've chosen to play. Maybe they've chosen to go to, we have 4 opens across the country now. Maybe they chose to go to 2 or 3 opens instead of a regional a month.
That's right.
Or, 3 regionals every 2 months, or whatever they, fits their schedule. Maybe they've, spent the money and gone to an extra open. Maybe, there's lots of things at play here. Like we just talked about, there's so many larger events. That player count has to come from somewhere.
That's right.
So, yeah, I could figure that, or I figured that the local numbers would be up. I could also see how the regional numbers might be slightly down, but I mean, there's still months to go, and it'll be interesting to see how we finish up with May, June, and July, and finish up April here too. So, I think showing the growth at the local level, that's where players come into tournaments.
Yeah.
If they're not playing locally, they're probably not going to be playing a tournament. I don't
That's right.
know of too many people that only strictly play tournament play only.
Yeah.
So those people start coming around. Maybe they just want to get their feet wet, play some league till they feel comfortable, then go out to a tournament. I mean, there's many many reasons for, or many reasons. Yeah, I guess many reasons what these numbers could be telling us. Many different things.
So last season I ran my April regional. I had 15 doubles teams, 30 singles, and 20 in the blind draw. This past Saturday I had 32 doubles, 65 singles, and 34 in the blind draw. Almost double across everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's the growth that I'm experiencing through the clubs in the north, as well as having, that handful of travelers that come in from Southern Ontario, and then those 2 kids that come in and beat up on us from Sioux, Michigan.
Yeah.
Which I don't even understand the juggernaut that is Sioux, Michigan, because it's like, a small town of 13,000 people, and there's like 5 elite players from there. I don't even get it. Like,
good competition, I guess. Play each other every night.
Yeah. So those kids just, drove the 3 hours to Sudbury and then whooped us, took all our money and went home.
Nice.
Which, I mean, I like them, so it's lucky, or else I would have just told them they aren't allowed to come back.
Right. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. No, it was a good time, and they're good kids, and honestly, I mean, I know you're the same. We want to play good players, like, so.
Yeah.
They're good players. It was a pleasure throwing against them. All right, Rammer, let's break down this event. So we have a list. Vince was nice enough to put together a list of, maybe what he figures could be the top 10, or some players that we already know. Definitely the ACL pros. Some of the guys that we have seen playing some of our events. And then some new names that we haven't heard that we hope to see in the future at some of our events. Because there's definitely some high PPR talent in Quebec. And there's some high PPRs on players that, I'm not even sure who they are. So he gave us the list here. We've both had a chance to go through it. And I think, for me, I'm gonna take Carl and Guillaume to take this bad boy down. I think that they are calm, cool, and collected, and I think they are due for a win. There's definitely a bunch of good teams.
Yeah, I took a look at the list. I like Bebo and and Champagne.
Yeah.
I like that combination. I just like the play styles. I like the attitudes. I think it's just a good team all the way around. Obviously, Bebo's had a lot of success in doubles with William T2, but I like those guys this weekend. Again, lots of good teams in the mix. Lots of good PPRs in the mix.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Some of the players I'm not quite too familiar with. Some we've seen travel and play in ACL events across the country, especially in Drummondville for their big opens there in Quebec. But those are the two I'm gonna ride with coming up here for their big event.
Yeah, I mean that's a fantastic pick. We also have Jocelyn and Eric Lemaire again, coming off their ACL provincials. Can they double dip and take them both down with the sweep? It's going to be a strong team, especially if Jocelyn's on, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's a solid player, but he is a little bit. I think he can get a little bit streaky sometimes.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, I mean they just won the ACL event there, so can they run it back here and get 2 wins out of the 2 big events here.
Yeah, and let's not forget about Captain Quebec, Simon Dallaire. He has about 10 wins this year. He's playing with Danny Malowin, who Danny and his son Julian had a fantastic run in open doubles in Drummondville, so we can't certainly count them out either.
Yeah, again, that's another team that could definitely do some damage. I think a lot of the guys we are mentioning here are guys that do have, I'm going to say, big tournament experience. So they've been to these big tournaments. They've been to the Opens. They've played the ACQ events, the large ACQ events before. So I think that does hold an advantage. I think there's going to be a lot of good cornhole played at this event. So, it's going to be fun to watch and check out some scores as we go along here.
Yeah. Also, I think another interesting team is Will Tattoo and Thomas Martineau. So Vincent was telling me that Thomas was actually Will's friend, and they went to cornhole the first time together, or they started playing cornhole together, and then Thomas had to take a break for a while.
One second.
So Thomas had to get a break for a while, and Will grabbed Thomas for this event. Thomas, I guess, is getting back to playing. So now that those two are back together, we might see some action there. Something's going on in the Rammer household.
I saw the door locked.
What's that?
Megan couldn't get in, had the door locked.
Oh, Rammer locked his wife out of the house.
I think Bella locked it.
Oh.
She was carrying boxes, so she couldn't get it.
Yeah, you didn't want to just give her a quick text and say, sorry, we're just doing the pod. You're going to have to wait 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
Good way for the house to burn down with you in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just saying, Will and his buddy Thomas, they started playing cornhole together. And Thomas, had to take a break for whatever. I'm sure real life from traveling to tournaments and stuff. So they're back together for this one. I mean, Thomas is still an over 8 shooter, so he could get hot. Him and Will could go for a run and take it down.
Oh, for sure. I'm never going to count a team that Will's on. So, again, just another team into the mix. It's going to be tough to win. You got to go through rounders to get even into tier 1. Sometimes it's hard to get through depending on your matchup. So it'll be interesting to see. I think all those teams will kind of be there at the end when we get there, but I do think it's definitely a tough field to get through when there's that many teams.
Yeah, 100%. Here's one guy I'm going to keep my eye out on is Jordan Shabbat, and I've never seen him play, but statistically, he is real close to a 9 for the season. And anytime a player is encroaching on that 9 here in Canada, we know that they're the real deal, right? I mean, you're going to be pretty steady all the time to be averaging that kind of PPR. So I'd be interested to see how he does. Another guy that I'll be on the lookout for is Jeff Broussard. I know he's been down to Rock Hill a couple of times with Daniel Vines, and he's definitely had some experience there at World, so he's played the big ACQ tournaments, played the big ACL Canada tournaments, and some in the US. And obviously we got Cynthia Bouffard, who every single person that I asked from Quebec hands down told me that her and Sophie were the two best female players in Quebec. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see either of them in Drummondville. I was hoping that they were going to be there so they could, get into the mix and I could see how they'd fare against, Lana and Crystal and Val and Amanda and the rest of the gang. So.
Yeah, I think for me, an event like this is, I'm not going to single anybody out, but an event like this is where somebody like the people you just mentioned could make their mark.
Yeah.
Could really show out, and maybe that's what pushes them over the hump to continue to get to those, those podiums or get those wins. So I feel like at big events like that, you always kind of see someone and you're like, who is that? How'd they get there? What are they doing? What are they throwing? You want all the information on them, right? So that's what I would look for in singles this time around. Who's going to be that person that steps up and gets some good results here in a massive tournament here in Quebec?
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to watching it. I'm hoping there's going to be some good live streams so I can keep my eye on it throughout the weekend. I think I'm pretty quiet next weekend, so I'll have lots of time to watch cornhole.
Nice.
I'm also cheering for my buddy Stéphane Croteau. Him and I were blind draw partners in Quebec, and then him and Jude were blind draw partners in Newfoundland, so he's had both of us. I'm hoping he can have a good weekend. He's local to Drummondville there. He plays in Eric Lefebvre's Drummondville Cornhole League, and another great guy. You know what? I've met a ton of great players from Quebec, also awesome guys. It's tough for us, because I'd love it if we were bilingual and we could have done this en français and given them some due in their language, but unfortunately we are Anglophone. I could have invited my daughter to translate it as we went, but that wouldn't have been great either.
Yeah, there's no forget where I was playing. I think it might have been in Calgary. I was talking to Tremblay, just coming up with words to say, what is this? What is this? What is this? I don't know any French really, so
I know.
I'm no use there.
Yeah, and then because we have guys like Carl and Guillaume and Simon, and they're all completely bilingual. And
Yeah.
then you have Jocelyn, and if you're talking to Jocelyn, it's good to have maybe Francis or someone else around, or Jean Sebastian, so you can kind of figure out what's going on.
Get a little help. Yeah, get a little help.
Yeah, because Jocelyn, I'm pretty sure he is just monolingual Francais.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is, that's me in English, so it's just the other way around. I know he's hard to communicate with sometimes, but he likes to. So when he starts laughing, I just laugh back, and then I just go inside.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and he won't understand this podcast, so it doesn't matter if he listens to it or not. He won't know I said that.
Yeah, one of the other guys will have to help him.
Yeah. So they have the doubles event running on the Saturday, and then they follow that up with a top 100 blind draw. At the same time, they run a juniors and a women's event. The ACQ posted the names in the top 100 blind draw, and most of those names are all guys we've seen around. I really wish I could have. I would have loved to be there next weekend, but a 10-hour drive isn't conducive in construction season. It would have to be it'd be pretty rough just to even watch it. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. You know how they get around the courts. I'm sure the same way as the Newfies do.
Yeah, no, it's definitely fun to play there. So they get behind their guys, and I'm sure it's going to be a good atmosphere for everybody involved.
Who did Will play in the finals Oh, Craig against Will, 2 years ago in Drummondville.
Yep.
Yeah, remember the atmosphere there. And was it Will that had the huge lead and Craig came back and won?
I think so. I remember. That's how I think it played out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where Doug coined Craig's nickname, the Iceman, just because he was really cool and collected in probably really unfriendly waters. I mean, you look around and no one is cheering for you, and you're down like big, and to just be able to stay calm. I remember he hit a bunch of clutch airmails. Will was blocking up the hole and rolling over them, and so Will was just leaving it there. And Craig was banging some big airmails just to stay in the game at that point. And then he started taking advantage of a few mistakes. But I mean, that was an electric crowd audience in Quebec. And I'm sure it's going to be that on steroids this weekend.
Yeah, I've experienced it a little bit too. When we went to Laval, we played Carl and Guillaume in the finals of doubles.
Yeah.
So we were the unwanted at that one, being from Ontario with the event in Laval, and then mostly being people from Quebec. So definitely been part of the atmosphere, but it's fun.
Oh, it's fun
to play in, and I'm sure you'll see a little bit of that this weekend, or next weekend when we get into the big event.
Do you guys have the same outcome as Craig did, or no?
No, we got dipped.
Yeah. Fucking gorilla just squeeze your guys' heads together like that.
Yeah, I played against him. I was awful. I was good getting to the finals.
Yeah.
I think we beat the Finleys and we beat McNutt and Dunlop.
Yeah.
And we were in the king seat, but no dice.
It was super hot that event, eh?
Yeah, and it was like when I had just started having problems with my stomach and stuff, so I couldn't eat. I was like, in between timeouts, Corey would like be asking me stuff. I'd be like, just figure it out yourself. I need something to, like muffin. I don't care. A piece of lettuce. I don't even care at this point.
Yeah.
Like, it's so hot and I haven't ate anything. Like I'm struggling here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but it was fun though.
Yeah, no, I mean beating those teams, especially then, Tyler, when Tyler was in full effect, him and James were, pretty much equal in skill.
I know they're one of the best teams around.
Yeah, a fantastic team. And then you have Dave and Glenn. I mean,
yeah,
one of the best teams in Canada. And then those two, I mean, to finish second to those two was a fantastic run for you guys.
Yeah, no, it was
no shame in that one.
No.
Much better than the Tier 2 championships that you have.
Well, hey, I got a national plaque.
Yeah, you are a national
champion.
You are a national champion, yeah.
Huh.
How you should tell Megan that you're going to start putting them on the wall there behind the couch.
Yeah, I should.
Yeah. She just comes home.
I just
one
got
day
all
and
the Tier 2 championships. Tier 2 Open, Tier 2 Nationals.
Yeah. And now Derek and Spencer are coming for your Tier 2 titles.
Okay. Perfect.
So I think we're going to change things up a bit. We won't go live next week, but then early the following week we're actually going to have our first guest on, which is something that we've kind of shied away from in the past. Just because, I mean, we kind of like the way that you and I just kind of talk about cornhole and cool stuff that's happening in the cornhole and great performances. But we're going to have ACL Canada National Director Matt Pleel on the pod, and we're going to talk ACL Canada and how Canadian is it.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of stuff being posted on social media, I think, about, obviously these socio-economic, political times are quite different from anything we've probably ever seen before.
Right.
And this is not a politics show, but we're just talking about Canada USA, and that perhaps to a lot of Canadians, an A in ACL might not sound super inviting. So we're gonna just break it all down. What stays in Canada? Who runs this stuff? Is it Canadians? It is.
Mm-hmm.
There's a spoiler.
Yeah.
and just talk about how, you know, ACL Canada started here and where it's going and who's at the helm.
Maybe we can yank out some new information out of them. Maybe we can get some events or something. Where are we going?
Maybe.
What's going on? What's cracking? What's he got planned?
Yeah, I mean, we can ask him, but he keeps some stuff pretty.
It's probably, I've seen this answer before. It's literally no with the head shake. That's probably. I mean, that's
Yeah, you
probably
look
what we're
just
getting.
like him.
Yeah.
Or he's looking at his computer and then he looks up and then just looks back down at his computer and doesn't even say anything.
Yeah.
Has he ever done that to you? It might
yeah.
just be me because I'm saying something ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm sure it's happened.
Yeah, so we'll do that next after the ACQ Provincials, maybe they're the 28th, the 29th.
Yep.
And we'll get him on and just he can kind of go over where we're headed, you know, in the next year, in the next couple of years, what he sees as some of his goals, what he's happy with, etc. So I'm gonna give you one teaser. I'm actually gonna give you a teaser. So
Okay.
as you know, I am right on the cusp of becoming a pro for next year, and I mean we're close. So if that happens, I've already talked to Matt. I'm gonna opt out of ACL teams because the Canada teams because I still want to be the commissioner. And I have a plan. So I'm not sure if did you watch any of the teams events from Signature One with the American teams?
No, I didn't watch it. I didn't see any of the teams event. No.
So they flipped it right on its head. So they have a crew cup team, doubles, singles, and a tandem doubles team, which I am going to put into our team's event for next year. The tandem doubles. Our teams aren't big enough to have a crew cup team as part of it, but I love the idea of having a walking doubles team. I think it makes it really fun and exciting.
Yeah. And that's what you should have in teams.
Yes. I love what the ACL did, mixing that up, and I'm gonna add one of the doubles will turn into a walking doubles team, and I think it'll add that extra bit, a little bit of flavor, some extra. I think there's always a little bit of extra trash talk too when you have two people on each side of the board. There's always someone without a bag, right?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be fun though.
Yeah, I think it'll be really fun, and so I'm gonna implement that for next season. We'll get that on the docket, and yeah, I think the main thing with teams, right, is to keep it fun and exciting.
Yeah, I like that idea. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
I've never played the tandem doubles. Have you?
I don't think so. No. It looks fun. I don't think I've ever played it. Played like all the different style of crew cups and whatever, but not like walking doubles. No.
Yeah, I saw it. I think last year Connor's League used to have different theme nights. Like every week was like a different theme night. One like he used to have like house bags at the boards, and you had to throw those bags.
Oh, yeah.
I remember one of them was the walking doubles. I've wanted to try it. I think it'd be fun to do, especially in that
atmosphere.
Yeah. And honestly, I find that people play totally different when there's no PPR. And right with walking doubles, there's no PPR, and it's just you play differently. I don't know. I think people have more fun sometimes when there's no PPR.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So that'd be a good one.
Yeah, and registration's open for nationals in Ottawa, middle of July. So if anyone's looking to play there, 4 days of cornhole, tons of events, tons of different fun events. We're having that Team Canada Crew Cup fundraiser on the Friday night, as well as a full docket of mini bags events throughout the weekend.
Yeah, I've seen the schedule for that. Looks like it's going to be good. out of those mini bag events and a couple other ones. So yeah, it would be a fun 4 days of cornhole here for finishing up the season.
Did you see that Matt also added open singles to the schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was originally, there was no open singles because we had the pro singles, and then he said, what if Americans come and play? American pros.
Sure.
Yeah. So we have open singles. So that would also be everyone's last chance at open points that Friday and Saturday before the season ends on Sunday, which I think the only events on Sunday is there's a mini bags event, the pro qualifier, and then a blind draw. So everyone's points will be in by then, right?
Yep.
All right, Rammer. We have a good night. And we'll be back in about 9 days with Mr. Plyle.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, everyone. Have a good night.
See you guys.